Greetings. This is Paul the Poke from PaulthePoke, .com. Today's topic, a kingdom divided. Going to take a look at Matthew 12, verse 25, and this is Jesus talking. Knowing their thoughts, he said to them, every kingdom divided against itself is laid waste, and no city or house divided against itself will stand. And again, those are the words of Jesus. Now, the United States of America, frankly, needs to heed the warning. As a reminder, Jesus is a prophet. So, if we're divided, we're not going to make it. Just that simple. Our country, states, cities, families, we need to pull together. And ultimately, it's really not any more complicated than that. I mean, we've lost the ability to disagree. And it's okay. You think about it. My Lord, there are almost 8 billion people on the planet. None of us have the same thoughts. We're not all going to agree with each other, but we've just reached a point where, we just get so upset and just so bent out of shape because somebody doesn't think or agree with us. And look where we are. So, January 6, 2021, it's just a sad day in American history. And as of nightfall, got a summary of events as provided by Zero Hedge. Things are happening, continue to happen at the time of this post, which is about 8:15 p.m. Central Time. But just a brief wrap up of the events of earlier in the day. A woman was shot inside the Capitol. She has passed. We did have hundreds of pro-Trump protesters clash with police after the president's speech. A number of protesters breached security at the Capitol, and they went inside the building. Capitol was evacuated. Vice President Pence was escorted from the chamber to a secure location. Thousands are protesting peacefully outside. President Trump urged protesters to stay peaceful. The D.C. mayor orders 6 p.m. citywide curfew, and that's been enforced. Department of Defense refuses to call D.C. official for National Guard deployment. Not sure if that happened or not. I've seen conflicting reports. Either way, some have stated the National Guard is present in D.C. I know the Maryland governor may have had something to do with that, possibly called up the National Guard. We're going to see down there later, he sent state troopers to the Capitol to help restore order. Federal, protective services, Secret Service deploying to the Capitol. President Trump orders National Guard to Capitol to restore order. FBI's been deployed to the Capitol. President Trump calls on all supporters to go home. FBI SWAT team enters the Capitol building. U.S. officials say the Capitol building is now secure. And again, here's a link. This is provided. Just the summary of everything was provided by ZeroHedge.com. Capitol Hill staffers ordered to evacuate after protesters breach security. So as of this time, again, 8:15 Central, 9:15 Eastern, Congress has returned to the House to certify the presidential election. I know Vice President Pence had some comments regarding the happenings of the day, mostly speaking out against the violence. I know Senate Majority Leader McConnell was scheduled to speak. Vice President-elect Biden has made some comments. And I would suspect Speaker of the House Pelosi probably make some comments as well. And I'm not going to put any of that stuff up. I just don't see the good that's going to come of putting anything any politician says. For the record, I am a libertarian. My biggest concern is taxes and how our government wastes our tax money. So you know where I'm coming from politically. I have a long and distinguished list of members of both houses, both parties, and who, in my opinion, need to go. I don't see any sense in pointing fingers at this point. and blaming one side. Well, if this side would have done this, this wouldn't happen. If they hadn't done this, this wouldn't happen, and blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I just don't care. I'm sorry. Why we continue to put our faith in politicians is beyond me. And I think it speaks to the time we're in. We're looking for some savior to come along in D.C., and he's not. He's at the right hand of the Father. And especially times like this, I think about when I was in college. I'm going to date myself. It was about 30 years ago. But I heard a pastor out of Europe, and I was reading some of his comments. At the time, Europe, in his opinion, had gone secular. And he says the only hope for Europe is the return of Jesus Christ. And I remember thinking about that 30 years ago. And granted, I was in my early 20s. Didn't make a lot of sense. But I tell you what, 30 years later, I look at the state of affairs here in the United States and around the world. I agree with that man. I'm ready for Jesus to come back. We're not figuring it out as humanity. We're getting worse. And unfortunately, I'm afraid we got rougher days and coming for us. So I hope I'm wrong on that. But again, Congress has returned to the House to certify the presidential election, overshadowed by all the craziness in D.C. It would appear both Democrats have prevailed in the Georgia Senate races. Balance of power has shifted to the Democrats in the Senate. Democrats will now control the presidency, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. Time will tell on this. I will stick my neck out. I expect things prophetically to happen at a pretty quick pace. Something I've been kind of watching, especially with China and all the they pretty much own the hardware for 5G. And there are some rumblings out of the UK, the United Kingdom, Britain. They're kind of fed up with China. Now they've performed their Brexit, if you will. They are no longer a member of the EU, and they are reaching out to the G7 plus South Korea, India, and Australia, and wanting to create their own situation where they can provide hardware for 5G and other technological purposes. So we'll see. And at some point, 10 nations do have to emerge, and I keep waiting for that to happen. It hasn't happened yet. And just because we'll get 10, that doesn't mean it's the 10. So we'll have to be cautious when that happens. But at any rate, it would appear the United States on our current path, if we listen to what Jesus has to say about history and being divided, that'd be Beamer the dog. That's a little chihuahua, by the way. He's a very noisy little rascal, isn't he? On our current path, it would appear we are headed for being laid waste. And that's Jesus. And, so will we go the way of history and be no more? I don't know. Time will tell. Interesting times. And I just get the sense things are getting ready to happen quickly, whatever it may be. The sequence of these things, I don't know. But I think it'll be laid out for us. And especially, with total control, House, Senate, presidency, I expect the Democrats to try to make some hay in 2 years before the midterm elections and get done what they can get done, and whatever that looks like. I know they started off with politically correct police in the House. Can't use gender specific pronouns anymore. No references to he or she. Has to be gender neutral. You'll get in trouble in the people's house. Gosh. Z is the appropriate term. So I want to thank you guys for following along. And I know on a personal note, I've had some people reach out. Hey, where you been? Well, I've been in the hospital with the Rona. I got corona, spent 4 days in the hospital. The whole process from beginning to end it's been a month now. I'm still not right. Uh, excuse me. I'm able to go back to work half time starting next week, but most of my symptoms were not typical. Mostly I was very, very tired, lots of sleeping, and most of my stuff was all respiratory pneumonia related. I have a little cough every now and then kind of emerges. I'm sure you've heard that one or two times, but that was really never that bad. Occasional little fever, lots of sweats, aches, pains. Never had the headache, never lost taste, never lost smell. But it was mostly, my lungs weren't working and my oxygen saturation levels dipped into the mid 80s. And, my saving grace is that I'm a medical professional and I was just being anal retentive, checking myself. Woke up one morning in the mid 80s and I said, hey, I need to go to the hospital. And I had pneumonia in both lungs. So, but at any rate, I get to go back to work starting next week, halftime, and just kind of cleaning stuff up here around the house. And I get to report on the events of the world, which, looks like we're getting cranked up and going. And if you guys would like to sign up, those of you who haven't been a part of the blog and the YouTube, you can type your email in address here in the gray box. We have the gray box tonight. How about that? And subscribe. These are not sold by myself or by WordPress. So not to worry about that. And this will be categorized under Paul the Poke and Trend Update. And then anything you are interested in over here on the far right column, click on these links. We got articles going back 10 plus years in some situations. So again, it is good to be back. Sadly, on a note like this tonight, it's a little disturbing, but looking to get back into the swing of things. My family's had a rough go with COVID. Had some folks die in our family. Had to delay funerals, waiting on everybody to get over COVID. We still got people with COVID. And I know some people out there, oh, it's real. It's not real. It's fake. It's whatever. Oh, it's real. I'll promise you that. But, again, I am a medical professional. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. It's not perfect. I was doing those things. I still got it. But, it's the best we got. I don't know what you think of vaccines. That's a discussion for another day. But at any rate, it's good to be back. And I appreciate a lot of you folks reaching out. Y'all have a great evening. Take care. Bye.